First station, Jesus is condemned to die. Jesus stands before those who hold his earthly life in their hands. He knows suffering lies ahead. He could lie about himself and escape that suffering. He tells the truth, though, because he loves us, and love stands for truth. Jesus, so many times trying to be truthful seems just too hard. If I'm completely truthful about my sins, I will have to suffer consequences for my wrongdoing. If I'm completely honest about my plans, I may face restrictions that will keep me from doing what I want. If I'm really open about who I am and what I think, some people might change the way they think of me. They might decide I'm not very good or something. In this first station, I see you stand before your accusers in truth, out of love. Help me be led by love too. May knowing that you love me as I am strengthen me to be honest about myself. May my love for others help me see that they deserve the truth from me. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. John 15:13.
Second station, Jesus carries his cross. Jesus has been beaten and mocked by the Roman guards. Now a huge heavy beam is laid brutally on his shoulders. Jesus carries a great weight of sin as he begins his journey to Golgotha, where they would crucify him. He bears it willingly, for love bears all things. Jesus, I may be young, but I've learned that life brings many challenges and burdens. In a way, these burdens are our own crosses that all people must carry through life. Sometimes I condemn myself to carry a cross. I get myself into tough situations that have tough consequences. But at other times, life just lays a heavy cross on my shoulders. I didn't ask for it, I don't want it, but it's there, and it's hard to bear, especially because I don't understand why it's there. I see you carry your cross out of love. Help me see a purpose in the cross I'm carrying today. Help me find a loving way to bring out the good of the cross. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. John 15:13.
Third station, Jesus falls the first time. The streets of Jerusalem are narrow and winding. Crowds have gathered to watch Jesus make his way through the path of crucifixion. Under the weight of the cross and pressured by the crowds, Jesus stumbles and falls. Jesus, the cross you carry is not just made of the wood, it's made of the sadness of the world. All consequences of human suffering is heavy burden to carry under his sin brings me down to the ground too. I may think I can handle it at first, but after a while I can find my legs or close. My heart is making it hard for me to walk upright. Fall. I see you under the weight, but also see hands down. You rise, keep walking up of the love. Help me arise too and find the path of love once again. No one is greater than this, to lay down. John 15:13.
Fourth station, Jesus meets his mother. When Jesus was a baby, his parents took him to the temple. There, a prophet told Mary that a sword would pierce her soul. Seeing her beloved son now wounded, weak, and walking to an unjust death, Mary feels that sword tear at her heart. Jesus, amid the crowd filled with mocking, curious and indifferent faces, one face stands out. It is the face of your sorrowful mother, Mary. She held you close as a baby, searched for you when she thought you were lost in Jerusalem, and was there when you changed water into wine. As she has so often in the past, Mary stands near you now, but this moment is different from all the others. She can do nothing for you now. She can only watch in grief because she loves you so very much. I suppose all parents must sometimes look at their own children with the same kind of sadness. When we are sick, when we are running down harmful paths, when we refuse to listen, our parents feel it because they love us. I see you stop to give your mother comfort. Help me stop on my journey and let my parents in to give me comfort. Help me love them by being open to their love and support. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. John 15:13.
Fifth station, Simon helps Jesus. The cross only gets heavier with every step. The guard pulled a man named Simon out of the crowd and put the crushing weight of the cross on his shoulders. Not that they care about Jesus, but they have a job to do. They have to get them to the place of crucifixion. Jesus, I wonder if the man named Simon knew you at all. He wasn't one of the 12 disciples. Maybe he had never even heard of you before that day. He didn't volunteer to help you either, but he was forced into it by armed soldiers. But despite all that, despite being a stranger pulled in to help against his will, for a moment, a burden on you was lifted. Every day, my life puts me in the presence of people I've never met before and never will see again. At school, at work, at the mall, at a game. As I see your burden lifted by a stranger, help me remember that every action and word I speak to a stranger can either lighten their daily load or make it heavier. Help me approach them with love, and help me gratefully accept any kindness that are offered to me. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends.
The sixth station, Veronica wipes Jesus' face. After Jesus was arrested, the guards put a crown of thorns on his head. The long, sharp thorns pierced the skin on his scalp and drew blood. Now, hours later, the blood, sweat, filth covered Jesus' face. Veronica reaches out in love. Jesus, I must admit, suffering frightens me. I mean to just, I do. Suffering of the others, I find difficult to see others in pain. When someone I know endures great suffering, it's hard to know, say, or do. Sometimes when I'm faced with kind of suffering, and people do go far away until it's over. Sometimes people are changed by illness or pains, of age or grief, but it's hard to recognize them under the scars of their pain. I see Veronica reaching out to you. Others are frightened by your suffering, but don't know what to say. Veronica sees through the blood, the dirt. She does simple things. She cleans your face. Help me reach out. Veronica did overcome my fear. Help me be strengthened by your organize your face and suffering. No one is greater love than this, to lay down one's life to a friend.
Seventh station, Jesus falls the second time. Just a few days ago, people were cheering when Jesus entered this city. The feeling is different now. Now Jesus is condemned as a criminal, and hardly anyone seems to be on his side. He falls again. Does anyone care? Jesus, I see people fall every day. Kids I know struggle in school. They make mistakes. They lose games and forget their lines on stage. They have family problems and dread going home at night. My parents get stressed out because of all the things they have to do. They lose their temper with me. Sometimes I deserve it, sometimes I don't. When I think about all of this, sometimes I feel let down by the way people disappoint me. I watch them fall, and it makes me angry or feel superior or even laugh at them. I see you surrounded by pressures and cruelty, falling down under the weight of all of it. I'm sorry to see you fall. When I see other people fall in my life, help me remember you and be more understanding with them. When those I know fall, help me react with compassion and desire to help. May love more move me to care. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends.
Eighth station, Jesus meets the woman. As Jesus preached and taught during his ministry, his apostles were at his side. Now they are gone, nowhere to be seen. But along the sad road, a small group follows Jesus. It is a cluster of women from Jerusalem, walking behind him in tears for what he has endured and for his death that comes closer with every step. Jesus, although you are exhausted and weak, you have strength enough to speak to the women who are weeping for you. You tell them not to shed tears for you, but for themselves and for their children. Following you can sometimes be difficult. I know that real love can be hard sometimes. Forgiving is hard. Putting up with someone's mistakes and weakness is hard. It is hard being faithful to a friend or family member and supporting them when I have other things to do or when the situation makes me feel uncomfortable. Being your friend, Jesus, can be a challenge. I see you gently warning the women of hard times ahead. I listen to those words and understand what they mean for me. Help me to be faithful and to keep following you in love. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend.
The ninth station, Jesus falls the third time. Jesus has been arrested, unjustly condemned, whipped, and beaten. He has been forced to bear the meaning of his own death. On his back, his friend has disappeared, and he falls again. Jesus, your journey on this hard road is a journey of pain and struggle. Most of all, it is a journey of love. It is hard to see from the outside, but something doesn't understand sees nothing but shattered land falling on the road of Jerusalem street. But there is more to them than this. I know there is true love. You endure all this because you love us. You suffered because you love me. It is hard for me to fully realize that love involves suffering. I doubt anybody truly understands the mystery of how I love and suffering are joined. But through your journey, I see true contain is. I see your fall broken in me, but this pain also seen love. Such me, and I hope and help me accept suffering that comes with real love. No one has greater love than this, to lay down their life for one's friend.
10th station, Jesus is stripped of his garments. Jesus has passed through the city gates, out to the place of the crucifixion called Golgotha. Wooden beams are stuck in the ground, awaiting the crosspiece that he has been carrying on his back. On this hill, that means Skull Place, he is stripped of his clothes. All is ready. Jesus, you came into the world to share the good news of God's love. You forgave sins, healed the sick, and brought the dead back to life. And now you stand, God made human, totally exposed to the world that came into being through your own word, a world that is now turned on you and is preparing to put you to death on a cross. How could they not have recognized you? How can people be so blind to goodness and love? Why does it scare us so? I see you, the Lord of creation, standing weak and vulnerable before your own creation, which has closed its eyes to the truth. Open my eyes to your love. Help me be open to the many ways you are acting in my life every day. Help me to respond to your voice as it calls me to love. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends.
Eleventh station, Jesus is nailed to the cross. The noonday sun burns down on Golgotha. Nails are pounded through Jesus' wrist. Ropes quickly pull the crosspiece up into place. More nails pierce Jesus, now through his feet. The cross is in place, bearing love. Jesus, is this really what love looks like? That's not what the world tells me. The world outside tells me that love is about happy feelings, romance, and pleasure. As you hang on the cross, surrounded by people mocking you, gambling for your clothes, giving you vinegar when you say you are thirsty, it changes the way I think about love. I see you suffering on the cross, suffering so much that you cry out to the Father. I also see you are suffering for one reason only. You love us. You want to pour out forgiveness of sins and open the doors to eternal life for us. So you accepted this cup of suffering out of love. Help me see love in this cross. Help me see how much I need this love. Teach me, through your cross, how to love as you have loved. Teach me that true love is what I have been made for. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends.
The 12th station, Jesus dies on the cross. Jesus hangs on the cross as the hours creep by. It is harder and harder for him to breathe. One of the thieves crucified alongside mocks him. The other defends him. Jesus promised this good thief that today he would be in paradise with him. After 3 hours, Jesus breathed his last breath. His last. Jesus, forgive me my sins. All along the day, there were many people involved, bringing you the point. Some betrayed you, the rest of you tried to convict you. Some whipped you and nailed you, cross. Hundreds stood by and watched all, but a few of your friends abandoned you. And beyond all of this, the whole ungrateful world brought Coco. And sadly, I admit that part of the world. I see you collapsing in likeness on the cross, and there with you, sins, not anger or rejection of the world. I accepted the whole world and everything about it, even the sinfulness, in order to heal. I am part of that world. Help me see through your cross. I am healed and set free. No one has a greater love than this, to lay down life for friends.
13th station. Jesus is taken down from the cross. For a moment the world went dark. Thunder rolled across Jerusalem, and the earth shook. Something had happened. The world had changed. But now no one knows that. The guards have left the crucified to his family. A tomb is made ready. In deep sadness, those remaining watch Mary cradle her son in her arms. Jesus, this moment at Golgotha is even more dark and bleak than the others. Those who were caring for your lifeless body probably had many thoughts just at this moment. They might have been thinking of your laughter and wisdom, of a time they had shared a meal with you, or of a moment when you assured them that their sins, even their worst sins, were forgiven. Your mother Mary must have thought about all that had been promised, and once again the sword pierced her heart. All of them were probably confused and hurt, wondering what could happen next. But in the midst of this enormous pain, they continued to serve you quietly out of love. I see you cared for by those who love you. Help me do the same. Help me serve humbly and quietly out of love. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends.
Fourteenth station. Jesus is laid in the tomb. In a cave in the side of a hill, Jesus' body, wrapped in linens, is laid on a shelf carved from the rock, and a stone is rolled across the opening of this tomb. Guards are stationed, and the mourners drift away. Night falls with a heavy silence. Jesus, dying is a scary thing. It is sad to reflect on your unjust death. It is scary to think about my own death and the deaths of those around me. I just don't like to think about such things. Could a stone rolled across a tomb, darkness and silence, could this really be the end? Your journey to the cross seems to end in sadness. Sometimes when I'm trying to understand and to follow your way of love, I feel frustrated and sad too. It's hard for me to see the point or to see how good could come out of it. I see you lying in the tomb, and faith tells me that death is not the end. As I watch in sadness, help me remember your promise of eternal life. Help me live, trusting that your love lies joy and peace. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends.
Closing prayer. Jesus, on this way of the cross, I have seen the way of love. I have seen the long, brave, compassionate, and truthful. I've seen through your journey the mystery of being love, involves sacrifice and suffering. This is a way of sadness. I am the sadness. I remember your words. I remember with her mystery constantly spoke in her life. You said that they were born and forever. When you eat the bread of life, you would never hunger again. You promised that the thief beside you would live forever in paradise. May this way that the cross strengthen the same hope in me. I know that you are with me at all times, walking with me as I have walked in you, and you have taught me there is no greater love for life for a friend. Help me remember, for no one has a greater love than this, to lay down one's life. There will be a soup dinner after in the back, anyone, for everyone.